I've tried to record this more times than I would ever care to try to express to you over a period longer than I would ever care to admit. So apparently one of the leading causes, or not causes, causes of fear in the world is not death, but public speaking. Well, I have come to you today because I don't fear death or public speaking, and I will be public speaking about death. Contradictory? I think it's pretty logical. So, we have an electromagnetic field around our skin that is the aura. In science, it is called galvanic skin response, electrodermal activity, the human biological field, and the human energy field. They can't really seem to decide which term to go by. But regardless of the term that they use, it is all the same thing. So the electromagnetic field is large particles, while the quantum field is small particles. Now, this can be measured through, I guess, EMF readers, you would call them. I suppose there's different ways to measure them. I'm not yet a scientist, although we'll get there. But this is not pseudoscience, as we've been told. And so they say that energy cannot be created or destroyed. This is pretty significant because one of the main reasons why people get so stagnant, depressed, suicidal even, is because of loss. And I will not ever sit here, I'm a human being too, believe it or not, and I would never sit here and tell you that grieving is wrong and that you shouldn't do it. You should. If that's what you feel, if that is what is authentic to you, you should. But what you should not do is doubt the fact that our chakra system is also real. Why is this significant? Well, the center of the chakra chain, what's a chakra? It's an area in your body where blood vessels cross more often. There are places in your body where major organs lie. You can look up diagrams of these, and when they're most functional, when they're at their healthiest, they all emit certain frequencies. And so these frequencies correlate to colors. And so when you get to the heart, that is the center, dead center of all 7 chakras. And so there are more neurons in your heart than there are in your brain. What does that mean? It means that the frequency that emits from your heart, the frequencies that we cannot see, because we only see 0.035% of the electromagnetic spectrum, is the most intense force field around your body. What that means is that just like no mathematical or structural system in the world is a mistake, no attachment, no ounce of love that you have ever experienced for another is a mistake. So Not only that, is you hear the phrase, matter cannot be created nor destroyed. So that means it's only transmuted. So when you take into consideration that we were never taught that we even had an electromagnetic force field emitting from our skin, unless you are a scientist in a particular field, and you may know this. We naturally would think that when we die, it's just our bodies going into the ground. Well, this is an illusion. This is a misconception that hurts people. And so, when we think about God, I had a moment 6 years ago where I broke down crying for an hour. The most electrifying feeling of bliss within my body, my consciousness, with the realization that God is not the man in the sky that I see so many people personify him as. He's not, it's become such a habit to refer to God as he, but this is also a falsehood that keeps people enslaved. Why? Because we think that the point of God is worship. But what's more powerful than worship is love and the creation and the healing that arises out of love. Creation and healing. What does that do? It reconstructs that which has been damaged. That which has been broken, or so you thought. There are many problems in the world, but there are many gifts that all of us possess that are so vastly different. And the way that the world is set up, it becomes very difficult to maneuver these gifts in a way that we personally would do if we truly lived in a free world. But when you characterize God through the lens of worship, it becomes the same relationship that peasants have to their emperor, where you disregard your own authenticity and you deem everything good or bad. There is good and evil, but it's not really what you think. Buddhists say that to want anything is the root of all suffering, but Alan Watts taught us that to want to not to want creates an entirely new issue that is impossible to solve. We are human beings. We cannot not want. And we cannot not make mistakes, or sin, as some people would say. But what we can do is acknowledge that which we enjoy and acknowledge that which makes us happy and make use of the time here to express that, not only to the relationships we're in. Love is not limited to relationships. Love is not limited to friendships. Love is not limited to physical acts to people close to you. It's not limited to words. It's actions toward the greater whole. And this is not only done through philanthropy. And a lot of what we see as philanthropy is a lie and an illusion anyway. It's how a lot of money laundering is done through charities and foundations. It's another subject for another day. Unless you know that feeling of freedom, and I say this from a place of wanting you, whoever's watching this, to free yourself, free your mind. Unless you know and truly embody, not as a mood, not as a passing emotion, but as a way of being, fundamentally from your core, that feeling of electrifying possibilities of knowing the infinite extent of your capability to heal that which is broken. Unless you know that, any kind of verse that you recite, the attendance into a building, the use of various deities or religious figures on your tongue for protection or for elevation, all of that is done out of either fear or insecurity and uncertainty. You see, the core of you remains only as acknowledged as you realizing your extent in this universe. Because what people refer to as Satan is not only deception, it's not limited to deception. It's destruction. But it's needless destruction, you see, because you could burn down, well, not a person doing it, but if a tree burns down in a forest because lightning struck it and it creates a fire, that fire is actually a great benefit to the forest. It's creating new life. It's killing off what was dead. This is a cycle, this is a transformation cycle. This is not really destruction. Destruction is needless. Destruction is war. Destruction is what we call the military. Because this is not protection. Protection from what? The violence that is perpetuated. You only need protection if you're perpetuating fear and conflict. You see? That's a cycle too. What people call God is creation, healing, solutions, love. But boundless love, not the entrapment of a person, not mirroring a person to seem like their ideal partner until you have them roped in and then you treat them however you want. I know probably a lot of you have gone through that just as I have. Love is taking someone or the greater whole or both as a part of yourself with the purest of intentions to elevate rather than to have a companion to accompany you in your misery. Now, I don't want that to come off as toxic positivity. You should be able to express negative emotions and to have days where you're not worried about anything. Once again, you're human. You should absolutely be able to do that. It's necessary, or else you will get burned out. Your extent to help others, your extent to love, and your extent to go within is only as great as your ability to be able to recharge your batteries. So what does this have to do with death? Well, the likelihood of you being a person who never knows anyone you love who dies is very low. So what I'm about to return to, that I began with, is most likely going to apply to you at some point. I wish I could go into specifics, but it's very personal, so I can't. So what I will say is as much as I can without getting to that point, without slicing the pie. You need to get to know the people you love very well. Symbolism is all around us with every service that we use. Banks, media, religion, everything. Symbolism basically comprises the universe. So numbers are really symbols as well, so are letters. So whether the extent to which you know the people in your life and the people in your life know you is the extent to which you will be able to communicate with each other beyond this physical realm. What do I mean? I don't mean seances. I don't mean by occult means. I mean by universal means. I mean by innate means that we are all able, this is not satanic, right? Almost everything I've heard is deemed satanic, even crystals. And crystals are mentioned in the Bible. Where? I don't know. Find it. But crystals actually react with the interstitial fluid that's beneath our skin. So this is also significant because whether or not you are religious, it doesn't matter. They're still going to vibrate with the channels of energy that are scientifically measurable, because I know that some people are significantly more physically inclined and need that concrete ability to be able to measure with numbers, which is perfect. This can be. Every being from the earth emits a frequency. Even computers emit a frequency. Stones and gems, they emit frequencies. Human beings emit frequencies, animals. Lights. So, when you know the people in your life, you're able to receive these symbols, and this becomes divine communication that will guide you through the darkest of days. This can be accessed by anyone, so long as you are able to, and willing, to open your mind to see that electricity doesn't dissipate. Electricity does not cease to exist. Consciousness does not cease to exist. So, if you are someone who would say that you're very close to this father figure that you consider God, what would you say if I asked you why you believe that someone you love is truly gone after they die, if you believe in their soul and you believe in God? So you believe in the consciousness of God, but you don't believe in the consciousness of the person you love. So then you might say, oh no, I do. I know that they're in a better place, but do you? Because I think a lot of people have gotten used to saying that out of their mouth, but they don't actually believe it because they haven't enough, I don't want to say that. How do I say that? They don't have enough, I'm just gonna say it, they don't have enough faith. Whether they admit this to themselves or not, most people are the types of people who need to see it to believe it. And I have seen it. I've seen it from two different individuals. One of which is my father, who I never even got to meet because he got killed before I could meet him. I met a man who I thought was my father, but he wasn't. So I asked for, this is just one of the incidents, one of many. I asked my father when I found this out for a sign. I found out that his favorite color was turquoise. So I went out to my job. It was like my third day on the job. I was canvassing. And several things happened that day. And believe it or not, this is not the strangest occurrence, but it is one of the most significant. I pulled up into a parking garage that was highlighted. You know how parking garages are usually gray and yellow, or gray and white. They're usually gray and something. Well, I had never seen a gray and turquoise parking garage before. Our location that day, which it was a different location every day, so I had no idea this was going to happen, obviously. It was a city that I had just moved to. Huge city. Thought, okay, Later in the day, I see a woman with a huge turquoise necklace. A few hours later, I saw a girl dressed head to toe, pants, shirt, shoes, nails, hair, makeup, and lipstick, all turquoise. I actually saw two of those. I saw a second lady with a turquoise necklace. I complimented both of them because they were gorgeous, gorgeous necklaces. And there were quite a few more signs that I can't remember, but there are no mistakes. There are no coincidences. And if you are going through this personally right now, I would urge you to, and you have experienced something like this, I would urge you to be private toward people who do insist that everything is a coincidence. Because just like the intuition is quiet and it is direct communication with the ether, the spiritual realm that we cannot see, which is one aspect of the quantum field, which is once again small particles. This means that the signs we receive are orchestrated from the other side as well. And to think that anything in this divinely orchestrated universe where sacred geometry is repeated throughout nature, when you read, see, the problem is that Mainstream religion does not touch the archetypal stories and journeys that we all go through. They're being bastardized in a way. Now, some people do a beautiful job at bringing clarity to these symbols and bringing them into the forefront of our consciousness. But this is getting less and less common. It's getting lost in the noise. And it's being traded for this shame-based strange hierarchy, an abusive relationship with a false deity. The thing is, if you really personify God, and if you really think of God as a father figure, and as a creator, and as omnipotent, omniscient, and all good, ask yourself what kind of person wants other people to worship them. People say that the United States began as in a way, a nation of freedom, which it has not been for a long time. Look at the economy. But the way it was supposed to begin is through freedom. Why? Because instead of having kings and emperors, we had a system, 3 systems, that kept each other in check, kept each other from getting too powerful, so that the people could have a say. Because after all, if the upper level isn't serving the people, they're only serving themselves. So, in reality, source consciousness, who is not a man, would not realistically, being an all-encompassing of love, creation, and healing that which is broken, that doesn't elicit worship. Worship is a very human, material desire to want. It's very egoistic, really, if you think about it. If you really think about it. Don't you think the divine creator would want you to create? Because we have hands, we have voices, we have eyes. There are infinite possibilities as to the ways that we can heal that which has been broken and bring that which is negative into the positive. It can be done through the shadow or through the light, and both of them are equally as beautiful and transformative. It is up to you to find your own power before you take another form interdimensionally. Heaven and hell are not places you go with gatekeepers and entities. They're the frequency at which you die with. That means you must use your agency and take accountability for not only how you see yourself, but how you perceive the world and how you perceive the people you love. I've received more signs the longer I put this off than I could even begin to tell you. It's been 4 years now since I lost someone who transformed my life and my grandfather and found out my dad was dead in the same 3-month period. And that's why I hope, I know that the people who decided to click on this will not see me as condescending or get offended, because I know that my heart's coming through to those who are listening, and that my intentions are for you to transform and come to this place of peace that I have. I should not be as I should not have arrived at this degree of inner contentment as I have, but I've been very lucky, and I know that this is accessible to everyone, but only if your head is up. If an angel is walking by and someone's headphones are on and their head is down and they can't even see because their eyes are closed and hidden behind their hands, they're not going to receive any communication because they're not listening, they can't hear. You need to pick your head up. No, you don't need to feel happy. No, you don't owe the world a smile. You don't have to pretend everything is okay. You don't. All you have to do is have faith, but don't have faith in a deity, right? Have faith in source consciousness, in divine orchestration. Have faith in the soul. Have faith in electricity. It's the reason why your lights are on. I love you.